Good morning, welcome back to another video, and today is the weekly highlight. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, to round up our week of news for the weekly highlight, we have number one, which is the Winds of Winter extended buff. Now, the Winds of Winter was originally supposed to be a month-long buff, giving most players 100% experience for their characters, for leveling, just for a little while in order to boost some characters up and kill some time as everyone seems to be stuck inside the house. This has now been come out due to a blue post, and the blue post goes far as to state that the Winds of Winter XP buff for 100% experience is now going to be made available until the pre-patch of Shadowlands. That means if you are leveling alts, you can still level as many as you want until Shadowlands is released. This gives me an idea on what to speculate when Shadowlands will actually be released, as this is probably a good way in order to get people back into the game, and also in order to actually build up a load of alts if you desire to have some. Now, aside from this type of buff actually gives me a good idea on whether this will be a alt based expansion, and to be honest, I'm starting to get the vibes by looking at all of the stuff that's coming out of the surface at this moment in time. That being the case, let's get on to number two. Now, coming in for number two, we have the MISTWEAVER monk buff. Now, the MISTWEAVER monk has had a buff towards their rising mist ability, which actually is a healing ability, so to speak. Now, this one actually has been adjusted for a buff, giving it a reduction of 4% healing over time to 2%, but also increasing the actual healing of this healing spell to 50%. That means that the MISTWEAVER monk is now going to be able to do more healing or flat healing over the duration of 2 seconds instead of 4 seconds, which was the original. Now, that is a massive buff coming towards the MISTWEAVER monk. I think that is brilliant because I have been playing around with my monk and I would like to actually get around to leveling him and finishing him off. So that is something that we should take into note if you play a healing monk. Now, aside from that, let's get on to Shadowlands Alpha. Now, there has been some data mine stuff, which is contracts. And as a gold farmer myself, I am super happy with the contract that has been found. Now, this one's a Ardenweald one, but it's requiring at the moment, it says Night Fae, and it requires you to be friendly in order to receive the recipe in order to make this glyph for Ardenweald. So this is kind of interesting. So you need to be friendly with another faction in order to get a contract for a different faction. That's really interesting type of way of going about things. That means that you're most definitely going to have to prioritize what type of reputation you're going to get hold of first in order to get ahead, so to speak. Now, not obviously in the alpha everything is subject to change, so don't take this word as gospel. I'm merely just explaining what is happening right there and then. Now, what it actually states at the moment that it requires 5 luminous ink and also 5 umbral ink, as well as 1 dark parchment in order to make one of these contracts. Nevertheless, I do like this kind of idea with being able to have to be friendly with another faction and then be able to craft a contract for someone else's faction, because then it will give people the option whether to choose a certain faction first in order to start learning all this stuff to even start selling. So this may be something gold farmers and gold makers might want to pay attention to moving forward. If anything does change, I will let you guys know, but aside from that, that is pretty damn awesome. And also that means that we have now received just a little inkling into what we're actually going to be using for Inscription. Thus, luminous ink is a thing, umbral ink is a thing, and also dark parchments are a thing. So that is something to take into account when we're actually going to be going off into the near future, when we're actually going to be looking at the other professions for Shadowlands, and more specifically Inscription. Now coming in at number 4, we have another thing that has been data mined, and that is the Artisan riding skill has now been removed. Now if you remember, this one was the 280% riding for your flying, and that would give you flying, of course, and that was the original 5,000 gold one in order to fly around the world and do all of your normal ordinary jazz. Now that has now been since removed from the Shadowlands alpha, and all you need to do now is just buy the 310% flying instead of the 280, and the Artisan for the 280% has now been removed, meaning you don't have to spend X amount brackets 5,000 gold in order to get your skill up. You're going to have to not pay 2 payments to get max flying, you can just pay 1. And that's pretty damn good. I'm kind of liking that overall, and to be honest, it kind of squishes it all down into one little thing, so we don't have to worry all that much when it comes to flying costs. But if you're a gold farmer, it shouldn't really bother you overall. Now to round up the weekly highlights, as this is primarily a gold making channel, we are going to be doing the economy highlight of the week, which has gone to Magarakan. Don't know if my pronunciation is perfect on that one, but he has created a site, and that is for TSM group tracking and data queries. That means that you are able to see how well your TSM groups are performing, and be able to see and answer many questions that you may need moving forward for TSM, such as which groups are working for you, which ones should you get rid of, all of that stuff. So then you can see on graphs if an actual group or crafting restock is actually working for you. If not, then you'll see that on the graph and then you can cut it out. I kind of like this idea, and to be honest, I'm looking forward to this. Magarakan has actually stated that the site is still under development, but you can sign up and make an account if you so desire. Now, I am probably going to be making an account and just giving it a little go, and I'll probably make an update on it as and when it is fully released. But aside from that, it is kind of like Google Analytics for TSM, as he pretty much describes. I kind of like this idea, and I will hope to see what happens in the future for this. So from that, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for the week. Besides, tomorrow will be another news video for everything as I farm up Zul'Farrak in the meantime. Other than that, guys, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you on the next video, which will be tomorrow.